Hello, my name is Jordan. Today I'm going to be teaching you a basic vamping backup for You Are My Sunshine. We're going to be doing it in the key of C. I'll give you some technique tips and some practice tips. I'll also go over some licks and variations that we have in TuneFox that you can explore, things that will make the backup a little bit more interesting for people you may be jamming with, or for anybody that may be listening to the picking that might be going on. So vamping is a great simple style of backup that will work in a lot of different situations. So this one uses some movable chord shapes and patterns. So if we learn it in the key of C, it will be very easy to use this vamping backup in a different key for You Are My Sunshine. All right, I'm going to play through this and I'm going to sing as well so you can see how these chords and this vamping backup connects to the melody. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. All right, as you can see, or as you could hear, there's a few pickup notes that happen before we start playing. You are my, right? In the same way, if someone was kicking this thing off on banjo or another instrument, you'd usually hear that, or. So those few notes would happen before we come in with that vamping. Right, and timing-wise, if we're counting that, they're coming in on and 4 and then we come in on 1 and 2 and so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, make sure to make listening a part of your practice. We want to be able to listen to this, even this backup arrangement, so much that we kind of have the sound and the timing of these chord changes memorized. And along with making listening a regular part of your practice, kind of analyze what you're playing, right? If you're looking at the tablature, how many boom chucks per measure are we playing, right? How many measures of C do we have before we go to that measure of F, right? So kind of memorizing the pattern of this chord progression will be something that just helps you kind of internalize it and know it a little bit better. By boom chucks. Boom chuck is a term usually used by guitar players where they hit a low note and then strum, boom chuck, boom chuck. And we're kind of doing a similar thing here with this basic vamp, right? We're hitting a low note and then pinching. So, right? So I'm just calling that a boom chuck. And the way we have everything written out here, we've got 4 of those per measure. Right, for most of this, we are using the root chord shape. This shape, you might also know it as the F shape, right? We play it down here. But right there, it's only the F shape because of where we're playing it on the neck, right? It's really just a major chord shape and a root chord shape because the root of the chord is on this low note right here. So right here, this is an F note, right? And when we play the shape, we get an F chord, an F major chord. Up here at the 10th fret, that's a C note. So when we play that shape, we get a C major chord. Right? And in this song, instead of going to the F chord down here, we're going to the F chord up here. And it's still an F chord, it's just a higher F chord. It's actually what's called an octave above this chord. So whenever we've got chord shapes down here lower on the neck, if we play them 12 frets up, right? This is on 3rd fret right here, so add 12 to 3, we get 15. There's another F chord an octave up. Now, why is it that way? Because there's really only 12 notes in music, right? Once we get to that 12th note, the pattern just kind of restarts, right? So if we go 12 frets up from this F, we're at this higher F. And that's what we're playing in this version of the vamping backup for You Are My Sunshine in the key of C. And then the only time we're using a different chord shape in this arrangement is when we go to the G, right? We're going here 1 fret behind where we played our C root shape and flipping those fingers. And this is what's called a first inversion shape. You may also know it as the D chord shape, right, from down here. Once again, this is just a major chord shape. Right now it's only a D chord because of where we're playing it, right? Whenever you're using this chord shape, the root note of the chord is actually in your middle finger. So this right here is a D note, right? And this is also what's called a first inversion shape. Basically, major chords really have 3 notes to them. And on banjo, when we're using this kind of vamping stuff, there's 3 different ways we can kind of play the chords, 3 different basic shapes, right? And this is one of those 3 different basic shapes besides the root shape, which we just learned. Now, if we move this up here, now where this middle finger note is, that's a G note. So it's now a G major chord based on where we're playing it and based on, of course, how the banjo is tuned. If we memorize kind of like how far we're having to go between each of these different chord shapes, right, we'll get this pattern, which if we happen to play You Are My Sunshine in a different key, we can use that same pattern to play it in a different key, right? So when we go up to this F chord, right, we're going up 5 frets. And when we go to this G chord, we're going back 1 fret and flipping our fingers. Now, this is played in the key of C using the C major scale, right? And there's only 7 notes in a major scale, right? And if we go to G major, there's only 7 notes in that major scale. So a lot of these patterns will just easily transfer over, right? So if I'm playing You Are My Sunshine in the key of G, we can use this same pattern to figure out the chords for a basic vamping backup. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Go up 5 frets. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Right? So by memorizing that pattern, we can now use this basic vamping to play in a couple different keys. And also, you know, practicing trying to sing this as you do your vamping will be really great for you to see how the melody and the words connect to this backup. In the licks of this, we go through using some of those inversions that I was talking about to kind of make things sound a little bit more interesting. We also have some walks that lead from one chord to another. All right, so here's an example of that. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Right, so as you can hear, we're just like hitting one note in time that kind of walks and leads your ear when we're going up to that chord change, when we go up to that F or when we walk back down to that C chord. And again, that little pattern right there, we could totally use and adapt and play in the key of G as well. We've just got to take note of like how many frets that we're moving in between one chord and another. And as I said, we can easily apply that to that other key. So an example of that inversion, right? If we're on this root shape C chord, and this pattern could be for any root shape chord. If we go up 4 frets and flip those fingers, that's how we get the first inversion for the same chord. So C root shape, C first inversion. And an example of using it in the song, I'm going to use the vamping lick for measure 1 and measure 2, right? We're just going to go to that on beat 4, to that first inversion on beat 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It sounds pretty cool. It just gives us that little bit of variation before the end of each measure. And there, when we go from measure 2 to measure 3, when we're going from the C chord to the F chord, it ends up giving us a nice little leading tone. So adds a nice, interesting little sound right there. All right, we've also got some kind of fancier, kind of rolling sounding backup that Earl Scruggs did a lot. So when we go up to this F chord up here, if we can wrap our thumb around and just get it to fret that 12th fret right there, we're going to add in a bit of a roll here to get a really cool sound. If you have small hands and a big banjo neck, this might be a bit of a challenge, but it's something to definitely try because it's a classic bit of Scruggs vocabulary that can add some really cool style and flair to your backup playing. And then we've got some more kind of fancy Scruggs vamping licks, some stuff that he would do as fills or just as general backup, something that sounds like this. So a really cool classic Scruggs riff that really works great as a fill as well. So something to kind of add some excitement in those spaces where the singer might not be singing. All right, so we got a very simple but effective backup for You Are My Sunshine. Talked a bit how we could apply it to another key, and then went over some of the licks as well that you guys can explore to make your backup just a little bit more interesting. Make sure to make listening a part of your practice, right? Both to the basic backup arrangement and definitely when learning and trying to incorporate some of these licks. All right, I hope you guys dug that one. Keep picking and stay tuned.